Welcome. We are here with a very special guest. We have Jesse, and he is indeed a Canadian. You know, he's from Canada, and we have a lot of questions that we can ask him about himself and also about the book. But before we jump into things, could you tell us about the situation with the trucker protest and what's the situation with the Bitcoin donation?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for having me. First of all,
Not to worry.
So the trucker situation is now, I don't want to say fully resolved, but the crowds are gone. The government and their thugs came in and cleared them out.
Yeah.
But that said, even though we didn't necessarily get everything accomplished that they wanted to do in terms of returning all civil liberties and freedoms back to people, there's been a change in tone from the government. There's been a rolling back of restrictions. It's slow, it's happening. It's certainly not it's not complete by any stretch, but the temperature and the conversation, the nature of the conversation has changed here. So that's a positive outcome, even if it's not everything we necessarily wanted or that the convoy wanted.
Yeah.
In terms of the whole Bitcoin fundraising for the truckers, so I was not involved in that. I can tell you the latest that I've heard, and I can't be 100% sure all this is accurate, but I think what happened was they distributed a lot of the proceeds to the truckers. I think they split up a whole bunch of the Bitcoin proceeds and gave it out to roughly 100 truckers. From what I heard, most of the addresses have been swept into new wallets. So to the best of my knowledge right now, probably not all, but at least the majority of the funds were claimed by the people for whom those funds were intended. But please do not take this as fact, because I'm honestly not 100% sure.
Right.
Yeah. But that's just, I'm trying to piece it together, and I have to do it from our media who I can't trust, and some people who, some are anonymous figures on the internet. You know how it is. It's always like puzzle pieces, and then did this really happen or did this not happen? So
yeah,
this is what my understanding of what I think has happened, but I'm not completely sure.
You're not 100% sure. Yeah. I think that you kind of explained it to the best ability that you could on your side of things. Like you're not 100% sure. So yeah, like you just stated your like your thoughts behind it. I like your background and stuff. Is that Elon Musk that we see in the back?
That's my dad up there.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah. How funny. Okay, I thought that was Elon Musk.
I'm actually I'm in his office. I'm not in my own office right now.
Oh, really?
I'm at my parents' place right there. I won't go into the whole backstory of why I've been parked out here for a little bit. But yeah, it's I'm not in my own home right now.
Right. He looks very well read. Like, does he read up on Bitcoin or not so much?
I mean, he hears a lot about it from his son.
Has he invested or?
Yeah, I've helped them. Yeah, get I helped them get there, stack some sats. And yeah, in terms of being well read, so he's well, I shouldn't go into his whole background and dox a whole lot about him, but let's just say he's a bright guy.
Good.
He's a hardworking, caring, honest guy, and he's one of my heroes. And I mean, even in the first page of my book, I dedicate the book to my mom and dad.
Oh yeah,
my feelings for him are put right there.
Right.
You know what? I'll read you since we say it. I'll just read you the dedication.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So I say, this book is dedicated to my role models, Mom, for your courage, your wisdom, and for always looking on the bright side. Dad, for your poise, your resolve, and for teaching me to play both sides of the ball. I'm a basketball player.
Nice. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, go on. Like, tell us more about that.
Oh, man. I've been shooting hoops literally since you had the tiny Tykes net in the basement when I was a kid with a little rubber ball and a plastic net that's 3 feet tall. And so I played in high school. I played not on the varsity team or whatever in university, but I played pickup ball in university, and then ever since I've been out, I've played pickup twice a week I have regular runs that I've been going to twice a week, and
Right.
one of them is with my dad.
Oh, right.
And,
Nice.
and so I've been playing basketball with my dad in like, competitive fun games
Yeah.
for going on 20 years now.
Wow. Okay. So like, who do you both kind of like support? Like, who do you support and who does he support?
Yeah, well, so we're Raptor fans from
Okay.
Toronto.
Right. Okay. As you should.
As we should. Yeah, the
Yeah.
team. So my dad was a basketball fan long before the Raptors were here.
Right.
He's been playing since he was in university,
Right.
or before then. And so we, I'll give you, this is a completely non-Bitcoin related conversation.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. But yeah, it just gives us a little bit more context behind you.
For sure. No, but like when I remember before the Raptors came to Canada, like you would see a handful of NBA games on TV a year, and
Yeah.
it was like not a big thing in Canada basketball. Canada's a hockey country, right? That's what everyone's known for. That's what we're known for. But the Raptors came, and it was a seed that was planted. And like I was, my dad took me to a whole bunch of games their very first year. I watched on TV all the time. I vividly remember where I was. So the year that Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls set the NBA record for going 72-10, 72 wins and 10 losses was an NBA record at the time. The Raptors, an inaugural team in their very first year, handed the Bulls one of those 10 losses. I remember where I was when that happened. It was one of the biggest things ever. Michael Jordan missed the game-winning shot. It was against one of the very, very few. He doesn't want to talk about that. He probably holds a grudge against the Raptors for that.
Until this day. Yeah. No, absolutely. No, like that's super, super cool. I guess you learn something new about, people every day. Like I never in a million years would have guessed that you played basketball, but hey.
I'm better than I look.
Yep. So like we're going on to the next question now. So yeah, could you tell us a little bit more about how you discovered Bitcoin, and then why you decided to write the book Magic Internet Money, a book about Bitcoin?
Sure. So I'll take you through, I guess, a little bit of my background before we get to the book.
But first, it's time for a sponsored segment of this video brought to you by Bitcoin Point, the easiest way to buy Bitcoin in the UK with as little as £5. By default, you also get an online wallet to store and send Bitcoin, but you can also add an existing Bitcoin wallet as well. Register in under 3 minutes and link your bank account for an instant payment to buy Bitcoin at the cheapest rate from 0.2% only. You can also set up recurring purchases by sending weekly or monthly transfers from your UK bank account. Bitcoin Point also allows its users to send Bitcoin on the Lightning Network for faster, cheaper, and more secure transactions with my code podcast1, which you can check in the description below. You'll get £5 of free Bitcoin after your first transaction. So don't wait, check Bitcoin Point or download the Bitcoin Point app and use my code now.
Basically, I started working in retail banking and wealth management when my career got started. I did that for about 7 years. My career started in 2006. And so I was, bottom of the line corporate retail banker when the financial crisis hit.
Yeah.
And I just vividly remember, one day the U.S. Federal Reserve says, oh, you know what, we need to print $600 billion and hand it to the banks to save the banks. And me as like this, 21, 22-year-old, fresh out of university kind of thing.
Yeah.
I remember sitting there thinking like, I studied economics and like, I know I'm young and I'm raw and whatnot. But that's weird. I'm not super seasoned, but I'm smart enough to know that if a business fails, they're supposed to go under. Like, why does this business get saved while others don't get saved? Just that's odd. And it sent me down this rabbit hole of trying to figure out, what is money? Like, how does it work? Why does it work?
Yeah.
Now that I think about it, I guess I didn't really learn that lesson in undergrad economics.
Yeah.
And so basically early in my career, I got sent down the Austrian economics rabbit hole, basically, providing this alternative perspective to how economies work and why they work, treating economics as a social science rather than sort of a math discipline, if you want to really simplify, the difference between Keynesian and Austrian economics. At least that's sort of how I like to position it.
Yeah.
And so I learned about gold, and I thought, oh, gold was clearly like just the best money at the time, right? Because remember, this is before Bitcoin had come out. Like, oh, like dollars are really bad money. They just make it out of thin air. There's a lot of merit to gold, and why is gold valuable? And so I learned a lot of the reasons and the rationale behind why gold and a gold standard was just a better way of a better system of money and a better way of running an economy on a gold standard. And basically went through those first few years of my career. I ended up deciding that I didn't, because I was in wealth management at the end of 2013, and decided that I did not want to manage people's money for a living, because as much as they love you when you make money, they'll hate you more than they ever loved you if you lose money. And I was like, you know what? Holding on to people's money, being responsible for other people's money, there's a lot of risks that maybe don't get talked about. And I was an associate. I wasn't a senior guy. I wasn't the guy responsible, but I was part of the team that was responsible, right? And so I thought, you know what? I don't want to continue on this trajectory. I don't want to manage people's money as my living. I went back to school. I did my MBA. I kind of put that gold Austrian economics thing on the back burner. I still had the knowledge and, the insights that I'd acquired, but I didn't want it to be front and center for the time being. I just knew that I wanted to change. So I went back to school, got my MBA. I went into management consulting, and, I wanted to get out of finance, but sure enough, I become a finance management consultant. I actually participated while at school in this, what a case competition is, these business like competitions. So basically, and when you do your business, I think they do it in undergrad and at the graduate level, but different schools will send teams to compete, like, whatever industry, or, for instance, a bank will sponsor a competition, say, okay, here's a real world business problem we're having. We want all you students to team up and come up with a solution and then present our solution. And the best solution, gets a little prize, right? And a little ribbon you can wear and a note on your resume. Like, I came third place in such and such a contest or whatever. And so one of the one that I did that, like, I did a bunch of them in school, but I ended up doing one. Most of them are like kind of local, whether it's nationally local or just like you compete against a bunch of schools in your area. I competed in one sponsored by The Economist magazine. It was an international contest with 30 schools from around the world. My school is, a not very well known. It's a small-ish, Canadian Toronto-based university. And so, no one's thinking of us as, we're just entrants. We're happy to be there kind of thing, right? But they gave this case, and it just so happened that the judges were Raoul Pal, if you know him, of Real Vision TV.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
And Grant Williams of Things That Make You Go, like they were big business partners.
Yeah.
So I had read a lot of their writings over the last bunch of years because I was working in wealth management, and they were, contrarian thinkers. And so I saw these guys as judges, and I right away, I'm like, I don't even care what the subject matter is. I'm going to win them over. Yeah. And sure enough, I captained the team,
right?
The case, we knew how to build, like, we built a really good case. Don't get me wrong. We built it. Yeah. We had a great analysis and everything too. Cause I can't fool them. They're smart guys. Yeah. But we built the case, and then I knew how to, I knew they're storytellers, right? These guys, they're not just smart. They know how to tell a story and compel people and really, frame your arguments so that you can really help people understand it. And so I took the lessons that I'd kind of learned from, especially Grant's presentations. If you've ever seen any of his presentations on YouTube, he's a fantastic storyteller.
Right.
And so I sort of modeled how we presented our arguments, in a sense, the way he presents his arguments. Yeah. And it worked. We won first prize. And not only did we win first prize as based on the judges' rulings, but there was also this people's vote. So our essay and we did a video submission too. Those were all available internationally on the Economist website. Visitors to the Economist website could check out people's things and vote. And we won the public vote as well. So that was like a really, really cool feather in, my hat and the school's hat. Right. And so two things from that. So number one, that helped me get my next job, and I actually got out of finance for a couple of years.
Right. Yeah.
So I got out of finance for a couple of years. I managed the customer experience. Like, you ever do one of those surveys, like, how did you think, 0 out of 10, what did you think of our customer experience? I managed the international customer experience market research program for a large Canadian insurer for 2 years, in Canada, the US, and a bunch of countries in Asia. So I sort of managed that for a couple of years, and while I was finishing that part of my career, I got reintroduced. I had heard about Bitcoin as far back as 2011, and I didn't buy any at the time. I wanted to. I remember hearing about it, and I understood. Oh, there's 21 million of them, so there's a fixed amount. There's a predetermined schedule, so the monetary policy is certain. There's no guessing what the Fed's going to do next. The central bank of Bitcoin, A, is not central, and B, there's no guessing. We know what it's going to do every day. So I understood those two premises, and I understood the third premise, that there are no free Bitcoins, right? If the Fed wants to print money, click, click, boom, more money in circulation. You can't do that with Bitcoin. So I understood those three things about Bitcoin very, like, as early as 2011. And I thought, wow, maybe I should, it was literally trading at $1. And I remember saying to a bunch of buddies, I'm like, maybe we should buy like $500. Let's see what happens.
Whoa. Imagine if you did.
But I was an idiot banker. Like, I didn't know I wouldn't have even known how to store it, what a private key is, how public and private key cryptography. Like, I didn't know anything about this stuff, and so we didn't, because we're like, we're too stupid to figure this out. And there's no infrastructure at the time, right? There's no knowledge. There's no podcasts and blogs and books. It's this wild west of geeks, right? And God bless him. So we didn't pull the trigger. Obviously, Bitcoin does its thing, and like, looking back, had I actually done it, I probably would have lost that. I probably would have lost the computer or sold the coins. Because I wouldn't have would I have been able to delve all the way down a bunch of the layers and really think, oh, this is really, really real. Not just like, oh, it has these 3 characters and then, no. There's like something really, truly, deeply meaningful to this. Would I have known that, and would I have copped out? Maybe, probably. I would have lost the computer. It would have broke. I wouldn't have known how to salvage it. Right. Like, how many stories are there of guys who got in that early and then, oh yeah, I threw out the computer, I lost the keys, whatever. It probably would have happened to me. So like, anyway, we'll fast forward to the end of my career in as a managing this market research program and being a consultant, and I get reintroduced to the world of Bitcoin. And basically, now there's more infrastructure out there, and there's more knowledge and understanding, and the knowledge and understanding and the increased ease of using Bitcoin, because it's much easier, that you can download an app and have a wallet in 10 minutes, or and set up a key in 10 minutes. You couldn't do that. You couldn't do that 7-8 years ago, right? So it was just like, oh, this is like, I can do this now, right? Like, I'm still an idiot banker guy, but like, I can do this. So I end up diving in, and it's, how it is with Bitcoin, it just sort of consumes you. And basically this knowledge that I had put on the back burner of Austrian economics and sound money, that comes colliding back with like real world, actually sending, receiving Bitcoin, and plus all the great writing and the videos that were out there. It's like, okay, now it's really starting to gel and come together. And then coming to the book, sorry, this is a really long answer to 2 questions.
No, it's fine. Keep going, it's fine.
But coming back to the book, so when I left my job, knowing that I wanted to do something in Bitcoin, no idea what that was going to be, just knowing that this is like a really important thing for the world, and I got to help. I got to do something. It's what's good for Bitcoin is going to be good for me. If I can help Bitcoin, then I'm helping, whatever. So, I'm muddling through for a bunch of months trying to figure out what to do. And eventually I say, all right, I didn't want to do this, but my background was wealth management. Maybe I'll make like a pitch deck, and I'll explain to investors, I'll try to pitch them, hey, you should consider like some Bitcoin. And so I start working on this PowerPoint, and it, like, within a few weeks, it's like 80 slides. It's enormous, because like there's so much. I'm not even kidding. It was like 84. It was like 84 slides, and it's all there's words and arguments, and so I show it to a buddy of mine, and he's like, Jesse, this is a terrible like presentation. like if you show this to someone, you're going to spend 5 hours, and like you're going to lose people's attention. This is awful. But this is a great skeleton for a book. Have you ever thought of making it a book?
Right.
And so I was like, I was just taken aback. I was like, what? Like, I
Right.
don't know, I can't write a book. And so I
Right.
go to sleep that night, and the next morning I wake up and it's like, oh yeah, of course. Like that makes total sense.
Yeah.
And so, so basically from there, what I did was, and I'm going to tie all this together right now.
Yeah.
So I take the presentation and I start converting it into a book and refining it and doing, adding more research. And as I go through, I'm learning as I go too, because I'm refining my arguments and I'm trying to build a deeper understanding myself.
Yeah.
But I'm also keeping in mind my audience. So remember, I talked about Raoul Pal and Grant Williams, like
you did,
framing the arguments, like there's an art to presenting a story and being a storyteller.
Yep.
I incorporated that lesson very much into the book.
Right.
So it was like it was like the culmination of sort of all my experiences coming together.
Right.
And so I'm very, very proud of it. The book itself, we're on video, so I'll show you. Like I designed every detail on the cover, but not only that, in the book, every single page has its own title, its own quote.
Right.
So like, literally we'll flip through any page. There's also lots of
diagrams,
just visual cues, literally. And when I say visual, hold on, I literally mean full page images, just like pictures. Okay.
That's
it's a
super
picture
cool.
book too. Yeah.
Well, who made that? Like, who actually made the art behind it? Was that you? Like you again?
My designer calls me the creative director. Like,
right.
So I had a very specific vision for every image that's in here, but I'm not an artist, so she drew it. This is a designer who I've known my whole life, basically, or her whole life. And so it's funny, she didn't even want it. She's like, I don't actually do this kind of graphics. I can't do it. I'm like, no, I know you can do this. Try it, please. Try it for me. And she did it, and she knocked it out of the park. It's amazing.
Right.
So, but like, I'm like, okay, we need to move this little bit here. And like, I'm guiding every little step, but
as you should,
because this is my baby, right? This is my thing. But
absolutely.
If you think of it as, again, every page, right, is just that one, you can just read the book one page at a time.
Right.
Then it's literally like building blocks. You're just, I read one page, one argument, one idea. Okay, I get that. Next page, one argument, one idea. I get that. Next page, one. And slowly you go up and up and up, and you realize that they all kind of connect to each other. And then also go start to finish. You finish the book, or you're in the middle of the book and you go, oh, I'm up here now, and Jesse's talking about something back here. Well, it's very easy to reference back, and say, oh, that I just a quick refresher on that idea. Okay, now I can continue back up here.
Right.
And just as a reference in general to get, like, if you ever want to tune up on, oh yeah, how does this economic argument work? Or what does a blockchain kind of do exactly? Like, one or two pages, you can just tune up on it. Everything is condensed. Like, there's not a word wasted. It's super condensed.
Yeah.
It's a lot of different ideas all tied together. I tried very hard to use very friendly and like approachable and relatable language so that Bitcoin is an intimidating topic. So how do I make it, again, the images, the graphs, it's all kind of fun. How do I make, I sort of was like, this is like an impossible book to write, but like, how do I,
how do you make it engaging?
How do I make it engaging and fun and friendly and informative and not intimidating, and somehow convey, like, if Bitcoin knowledge goes from a scale of 0 to 10, maybe I'm a 5, let's say, right? Like I'm not gonna fool myself or anyone.
I mean, if you have a book, like I think you're higher than a 5.
but my goal is to take, if you're at a 0 or 1, let me bring you to a 2 or a 3 kind of thing.
Okay.
Let me just
one step at a time.
Let me just like help raise that minimum like standard level of knowledge a little bit. If you want to explore Austrian economics, go super deep down it. Okay, like Stafstein's book is a far superior book to mine. I'm skimming the surface. I'm dipping your toe in. I'm getting you familiar with a couple ideas, kind of helping open your mind and change your perspective a little bit.
Right.
But can I run the entire gamut of like fully, truly, deeply understanding it? No, but I can get you to like consider and understand a little bit why there might be some merit and how it might work. And then you go off on your own and explore further.
Right. So like, how long did it take you to write this book?
Probably longer than you would think for a book that's 125 pages.
Right.
I wrote it took me about 9 months, but it's not that like I needed to find and write all the content. Like I had a lot of the ideas pretty early on. It's just how do I
Right.
refine it and get the messaging right?
Yeah. Okay,
So,
great.
so it was a lot of like diligently crafting the book.
Yeah. So like, would you say that you're like a perfectionist then? From the sounds of it, yeah.
With this, with this, because I knew I only got one shot at this.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
and you didn't want like other, Bitcoin enthusiasts to pick up the book and read it and be like, what is this, So.
Well, that's the thing. Bitcoiners by nature are critical and skeptical. So like, if I'm going to, get some degree of credibility and they're going to accept this book as like, yes, this is a good, useful book for, every book has its place. I'm not trying to, the book isn't everything to everyone. This is a good, like introductory, intermediary book to get people familiar with some of these new concepts.
Yeah.
That's my role in this. And so, okay, fill that role, get the role, do it right. And like, if I do it right, people will gravitate to it. People will recommend it. And like, thankfully, I believe, based on whether it's reviews and just people saying things to me, whether they mean it or not,
right.
But no, I think it's been very well received. And I'm personally just very pleased with how it turned out. And I'm very, very proud of it.
Right. No, that's good. Like you've definitely got to send me a copy. And if people want to pick up a copy, then they can by clicking the link in the description. So I have another question. So basically, you just explained, how long it took to write your book, etc., etc. You explained the whole ethos behind it. So I just wanted to kind of delve into the first chapter and the third section, which is, down the rabbit hole. It's something that we hear about, with Bitcoiners. So could you tell our listeners like what exactly that means?
Yeah. So with that page specifically, I'm trying to set the tone for the fact that you're about to explore something that is unfamiliar, different. It's like nothing you've ever seen before. And so going down the rabbit hole, literally Alice in Wonderland tumbling, you're going into this bizarro, crazy world, right? Like you're exploring uncharted waters, right? Mm-hmm. Traditionally uncharted waters. So, that's, when people talk about going down the rabbit holes, they're talking about, not only exploring uncharted waters, but just really delving into ideas, trying to wade through and figure it out. There, I guess there's multiple meanings to down the rabbit hole, but you're trying to go down and, what you sort of discover and I would say I convey it not overtly, but, sort of, I guess, covertly, is that Bitcoin is a rabbit hole full of further rabbit holes, right? Yeah. There's all kinds of connected ideas. Yeah. One thing is connected to another, and they all intertwine and they all also go off in different directions. So I just want to like set the scene. I talked about framing the arguments and like positioning and storytelling. Mm-hmm. I want to set you for I want to set you up for success. I want you to understand what you're getting into. Sorry, if you lost the audio, I think a call just came.
Oh, no, don't worry, it's fine.
Yeah, so that's what that's all about.
Right, okay, interesting. And then I have, like another question. So, in in chapter 2, you quote the Winklevoss twin who invested in the very early stage of Bitcoin after they settled with Facebook. We see Bitcoin, as potentially the greatest social network of all. So could you tell us about the Bitcoin as a network, please?
Bitcoin as a network, it's just people opting in and saying, I want to be a part of this. It's not someone, putting a gun to your head saying you have to participate, right? Exactly, it's just, hey, this thing is going on. People seem to be engaged with it. Yeah. There's value, there's usefulness, like, okay, there's something that's attracting me and bringing me in. And the nature of it, what it does, how it works, it wins people over. And so, thinking of it in that sense as this social network is, I think, a reasonable comparison and way of thinking about Bitcoin. And in terms of quotes, I don't know if you have other questions about the quotes, but I got a lot of quotes in the book. So
yeah. Okay, like let us know your top 5 quotes.
Oh God.
Or is that too much? Top 3 then.
I mean, I'd have to flip through and pick them out for you, but how about this? I'll tell it to you this way. My quotes run the gamut. I quote, entrepreneurs, let's call them like the Winklevoss twins. I quote dead presidents and politicians and economists, economists. I quote Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Batman, Superman, Spider-Man. I quote Dr. Zeus. Like it runs the gamut.
Well, how come you quote all it? Go ahead.
Yeah, because it's just what quote is. I quote pop culture and like movies, V for Vendetta and 300 are two natural fits.
Legendary movie.
Legendary movies. So they're in there too. So it's just like what part. The way I think about Bitcoin to a certain extent is not everyone has to get and understand every single aspect of Bitcoin, but there's usually some hook. Like there's some element that's going to get you. Right. Yeah. Whether it's the 21 million scarcity, or I'm really interested in like how mining works or what, or like I'm trying to escape from tyranny. It can be anything.
Yeah.
No one controls it. That's like, no one controls it. That's so fascinating. So there's always a hook somewhere that gets you. And so the way I sorted the quotes is like, well, I want, you're going to resonate with something in here.
Right.
Maybe not absolutely everything, but something in here should resonate with you. And then that's a way to connect you to everything else that's in the book and by extension, connect you to Bitcoin.
Right. Okay. No. That makes sense. And then you also have a part about consensus through proof of work. Could you explain a little bit more about that too?
Do you want to get more specific? I mean,
yeah.
Well,
that is a pretty big question. Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I'm not sure how familiar listeners are with Bitcoin or, how these systems work or Bitcoin specifically works. Right. But consensus just means, it's a general term. It's not like an official term, I don't think, on Bitcoin, but it basically just means like we all agree, right? Everybody, like every node on the Bitcoin network at any point in time, at any block in time, all agrees every 10 minutes, we all reach agreement. This is the precise whereabouts of every single fraction of a Bitcoin at any point in time. No one is out of sync. Everyone agrees that 0.1 Bitcoin is in that wallet. No one disagrees with that claim. We all verify it. So that's sort of what consensus is. And mining is, the mechanism by which we get there.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. And then there's also like a part about sounds money, something that we hear a lot with Bitcoiners. So could you explain what exactly that means as well, please?
Yeah. Well, the best way to understand one of the really good ways to understand sound money is first to understand its opponent, garbage money, fiat money.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
If I'm a central bank and, today there's $1 trillion in circulation, but tomorrow, you know what? We got to bail out the banks. Let's just print $600 billion. Well, how did that happen? You're just deciding on behalf of everyone else that this is the correct thing to do. And you're telling me there's no moral hazard. There's no unintended consequences of doing this. Like that doesn't work. It is political. It is not neutral. It is biased and it leads to bad outcomes because of that. Bitcoin is perfectly neutral. No one can affect it. It's out running in the wild, doing exactly as it was programmed to do from the day it was made.
Right.
And, again, like there's no compelling Bitcoin to change its course. There's no saying, I'm going to push the buttons really hard and see if I can make 25 million Bitcoin, instead of 21 million Bitcoin. Like, good luck. I don't think that's going to work. I don't think that's going to work out so well for you. You cannot. Right. I think Max Kaiser says you don't change Bitcoin. Bitcoin changes you. Right. So that's very different from fiat money where, no, I'm going to change dollars. I'm going to change it. And then you kind of have to react, and you're always uncertain because you never know what they're going to do next. Are they going to raise interest rates? Are they not? Are they going to print more money? How's that going to affect the value of my house, of my savings? How am I going to react? With Bitcoin, it's I don't lose sleep worrying about that. I have very, very, very high degree of certainty what the future holds.
Right. Okay.
So, yeah.
So like my question to you is, do you reckon people still have like the like, do you reckon people have like a big amount of certainty, even though Bitcoin has dropped by like half the amount?
Well, that's if you're measuring Bitcoin in dollars, right?
Yeah.
Dollars are a faulty measuring stick for all the reasons I just said, right? Today, there's $1 trillion in the economy. Tomorrow, there's $2 trillion in the economy.
Yeah.
So what's a dollar worth, right? Value in that sense is very subjective.
Right. Okay.
I know that one Bitcoin today out of 21 million, tomorrow, a year from now, 10 years from now, 100 years from now, is still one Bitcoin out of 21 million. Right. The relative valuation, if you're using dollars as your unit of account, as your measuring stick of value, you're using a measuring stick that is wobbly and is in decline, right? Yes. Right. In dollar terms, Bitcoin's price is volatile right now.
Right now, okay.
But you're looking at it, on a day-to-day basis. Yeah, it'll drive you crazy. It goes up and down, up and down.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But if you zoom out and think of the big picture, okay, what is Bitcoin? It is a teenager. It's 13 years old. And what is it, compelling itself and the people using it to do? Well, it's memeing its way into being, the globally preferred, apex predator of money, the best money the world has ever known.
Right.
Like, it's going through a growth phase of stages. Yes, is it volatile? People always say, oh, it's volatile. That's crazy. Well, like, volatility goes both ways, don't forget, right? Yeah, it goes down sometimes.
Exactly.
But like,
it goes up.
it's volatile to the upside too.
Yeah,
and if you zoom out, it's really volatile to the upside if you zoom out.
Right. Okay.
So if you're trying to, there's two mentalities, right? There's if you're talking about owning Bitcoin as an asset that appreciates in purchasing power, if you look at it from, well, I need to get in and out, and I'm trading, I'm trying to pick the bottom and sell the top, you're going to drive yourself crazy. You think you're going to outsmart the market? The market is the combined knowledge of all humanity. You're going to outsmart everybody? Like, are you crazy? No. There's I'm Canadian, so Wayne Gretzky's a hero around here. Yeah. He has an expression: skate to where the puck is going, not where it is, right?
Right.
Where is the future of money? Well, if you follow the fundamentals of like what characteristics, attributes make for the best possible money, Bitcoin is superior in basically every regard compared to every other money. So that's where the puck's going. I'm just going to go there before everyone gets there. That's all. And so, yeah, it's volatile, but like, I'm already at the end line. I just have to wait for you guys to catch up.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I literally just thought about another question as well.
Yeah, fire away.
Since you was answering that. So, you speak about scarcity in chapter 3. What makes Bitcoin different from fiat, like, in your opinion?
Well, I mean,
I know that you briefly brushed upon it.
Like, dollars, right? Dollars, you never know what the supply is going to be. There's always going to be more and more and more. Whereas Bitcoin, we've all known from the day that Bitcoin was created exactly the absolute fixed final amount that it's going to be. So it's that certainty. And it's that assurance that the amount that was promised is not going to be changed on you. No one's going to rug pull you on the total amount of Bitcoin.
Yeah. So like, go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to say, and then if you even want to go a bit of a step further, I don't know if you have a question for chapter 7, which is specifically about scarcity, but maybe I'm jumping the gun on you.
No, you're fine. Yeah, I'm listening.
Okay, so if you think about it sort of fundamentally, philosophically kind of thing, you cannot really have a next Bitcoin. There is no next Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And the reason is this: the whole concept of proof of work, which is the mining, consensus algorithm, the mechanism by which we all come to agreement and we all acknowledge there's 21 million and they're issued at this predetermined rate. The point of proof of work is to literally prove the singular existence of of the 21 million coins. That's what it does.
Right.
It proves that. And if something were to come along and be, quote, the next Bitcoin,
Yeah.
that action literally undermines the premise that Bitcoin is scarce.
Right.
So
Okay, right.
if Bitcoin 2 comes along, well, but then Bitcoin 3 can come along, and 4 and 5. And so if there's a next one, it undermines the initial premise to begin with.
Yeah.
So, and that's not to say people can't do copycats and fork the network and whatnot, but I'll tell you this. If one of the forks was good for Bitcoin, the protocol change that they had proposed would have been incorporated into Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
Someone says, right, the fork wars in 2017, I want to increase the block size from 1 megabyte to 8 megabytes, whatever. If that was desirable and beneficial to the network would have adopted it. It would have become a part of the consensus on the network, but it was not. And so someone says, well, I'm smarter than the network, and so I'm going to make my coin, and off they go. And like, what happened? Well, clearly the market sent a signal that it's not better, it's not good, it's not more useful, it's not the next Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the only Bitcoin.
Yeah, right.
So there's a part on scarcity. It's not just the 21 million units, it is the singularity of the network itself.
Right. Okay. So like, do you feel like Bitcoin will be the global currency like while we're alive, like in our lifetime, or do you feel like, that's like when our kids are here?
It already is, depending on who you ask, right? Like Bitcoin is my standard. I am personally on a Bitcoin standard. I don't measure my wealth in dollars because dollars are sorry, I won't swear, are terrible.
Yeah. You was about to demonetize me. But yeah,
dollars
they're crappy, right? Yeah.
Dollars are a terrible store of wealth, like they're not good money. So I have chosen, I didn't wait for my government to by decree, say this is the way we're doing it now. No. I just made the decision. This is better. I'm opting in. I voluntarily choose Bitcoin because it's an option on the table. Gold is an option on the table. Dollars are an option on the table, but I've evaluated, I've thought critically about the different options, their pros and cons. And Bitcoin blows everything out of the water. So this is my standard.
Right.
And as more people choose, it simply becomes the preferred standard. The governments are going to be the last. Like they're not going to get it. When they decide that, okay, now we can make it the standard, by then it's already happened. The change is done. They're just executing what's the expression? Politics is downstream of culture. Right. So if politics is saying, okay, now Bitcoin is the thing, well, the culture has already decided then. Like you're late to the party, right? Politics.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
And El Salvador is just sort of this interesting, like chain, like the first little candle in the darkness of like, people can opt out, and this is the first tiny little nation state that is like setting this new precedent. And it's not only influencing other countries, but it influences people, right? Like people see that, a country can adopt it. Well, like maybe I should give it another look. Maybe I shouldn't have dismissed it that first time. Maybe there's merit here, right? So it's like there's this incentives and just layers of adoption, whether it's people, companies, and now nation states, that it's just building up. And by the time, the world gives its permission, the change has already been made.
I agree. So then what would you say, because like I hear this a lot, from people, they say that, what about if like a government is behind Bitcoin, or, Russia's behind Bitcoin? Like, what would you say to, to those people? Or Bitcoin's a scam, like?
Prove it.
Right.
Prove
I like
it.
that. I like that.
Don't trust, verify, right? Like, oh, okay, it's a scam. Prove it.
But then how can they prove that it's not?
Because anyone can run the code, can run their own node, can verify, are there 21 million coins? Are the coins that I have the keys to, are those actually in my wallet? I don't have to trust anybody.
Right.
So you tell me it's bad, you tell me it doesn't work, you tell me it's a scam.
Yeah.
Prove it.
So then playing devil's advocate, I hear this a lot again, like who created Bitcoin? Then it can't just come out of thin air.
No one said it came out of thin air, but what does it matter who created Bitcoin? The fact of the matter is, seriously,
Yeah.
the fact of the matter, it's like here, I'll read the one of my favorite quotes. You asked for top three, so I'll give you one, okay?
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah. Let's
Because
go.
this obviously
This is all of the Bitcoin doubters.
So V for Vendetta, right? Behind this mask, there is more than just flesh. Behind this mask, there is an idea, and ideas are bulletproof.
Right.
Don't judge the man. The man is irrelevant. The idea is here. It's working. What else do you need? You know, if there was the fact that there's no founder that you can like drag in front of Congress or some committee and say, shut this thing down. How did you make it happen? Like, if we had that, it would actually be a pitfall. It would be a detriment to Bitcoin. It would be sort of the single point of failure. It would destroy, it would have the potential to harm the credibility of the network. But because there is nobody to blame and nobody in control, all that remains is Bitcoin. And the fact of the matter is, Bitcoin is here and Bitcoin is working as intended.
Yeah.
So you're going to tell me it's a scam? Prove it.
Yeah, prove it. I like that. So there you go. For all of the Bitcoin doubters, you know, you've heard it from the horse's mouth. Also in chapter 4, you titled "Time is Money." Could you elaborate a little bit more on that phrase?
So yeah, you know, time is scarce for all of us, right? Like we're on this earth in this world for whatever period of time. It's a limited period of time. We want to extract the maximum value for the time that we have here. We want to have fulfilling, enjoyable, fun, loving, good lives. Bitcoin or time is money in the sense that it's scarce and you have to spend it wisely.
Yeah.
Right. And that it's not replaceable, right? Dollars. Okay. We'll just make more time, right? If dollars were time, well, we can just print infinite time, right? We'll just print more time.
Yeah.
You can't do that in Bitcoin. You only have so much. So make the best use of it because it's hard to get more or you're not going to get more. Right. So that's sort of one way to think about it. There's a few really, deeper thinkers than me in this world, in this space, who've written extensively about it. Dergigi at Dergigi. I think he has a couple of essays on it. I think Robert Breedlove has an essay or two on it. There are some really brilliant minds in this space that have really tried to draw a lot of interesting analogies to Bitcoin and time and money and time.
Right.
But yeah, so that's a little quick surface level of it.
No, perfect. And then in chapter 5, you speak about smart money and blockchain 101. Could you tell us more about that? Yeah,
so I call it, when you hear the term smart money, typically you think, the institutional investors and the insiders. Yeah. I purposely use that term as a play on words. There are a lot of play on words in this book. There's a lot of Easter eggs in this book.
Okay, great.
That was part of the perfectionist in me. So smart money in this case refers to, dollars are paper or credits, right?
Yeah.
Gold is, an analog rock for all intents and purposes. Bitcoin is software. It is programmable money. That's what I mean. When I say smart money, I mean, you can program it to do things. I can't program, the dollar bills in my wallet. I mean, now with banking, sure, I can do some things programming with my bank, but at the same time, they are going to limit me and they are going to censor me and prevent me from this, that, or the other. So Bitcoin is sort of unrestrained programmable money. And maybe unrestrained isn't the best term because it has to work within the bounds of, we have this 21 million limit. We have there are certain things that necessarily need to be constrained so that that it's secure and that we're actually verifying the amount of coins that the foundation has to be rock solid. So there's a trade-off always, right? It's not as flexible as some of these other things. Yeah, but it serves a real purpose and it solves a real problem. So don't come at me with your it doesn't have smart contracts. It is far more animated and useful and programmable than any other money we've ever known. So it's a smart money, right? Like smart things in your house, smart devices. Yeah. It's smart money.
It's smart money, right?
And then, sorry, the second part of your question. What was the second part of your question?
Yeah. So the second part of my question was, well, what was the second part of my question?
Something about blockchain.
It's about blockchain 101. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, so right, a blockchain is a ledger, right? Like when you're broadcasting transactions to the Bitcoin network, you're sending out transactions that are inscribed, and you include a whole bunch of transactions in every block. And so we're time stamping every 10 minutes. These transactions are authenticated, and every 10 minutes, right, we're piling block after block and cryptographically connecting one block to the next.
Right.
That's a blockchain. Right. That in and of itself, in my mind, it's not, the most special or important part of Bitcoin, not by far. What's the mechanism that connects these blocks? What's the mechanism by which we know that the data that's been transcribed is immutable, meaning I can't go back and revise it or edit it, right? Whatever is done is final, it's irreversible. And then what is the economic incentive to it too, right? And is it open source? Is it permissionless? Because I've come up with this or that new blockchain and it's managed by JP Morgan. Like, you kidding me? Like you mean you made a special database and like, so blockchain was purpose built for Bitcoin. Its highest value use case is funneling trust and value, and it manifests as the best form of money we've ever had.
Right.
And so, you can try to distort a blockchain and make it something else, but what you're doing is you're taking a solution to a problem, which Bitcoin is, and you're saying, well, I'm coming up with this new solution, but I don't have a problem I'm solving. I'm just throwing mud at the wall and maybe something will stick and people will be attracted to it.
Right. No, that makes sense. And then in chapter 6, you talk about, resilience. And you also told us earlier, what happened in Canada. And like it was a good use case. So do you have any other examples in mind?
Tell you what, I'll refer you to, and I don't have the examples off the top of my head, but perhaps you're familiar with Alex Gladstein. He's at the Human Rights Foundation. And he writes extensively. He does a lot of articles for Bitcoin Magazine and probably else, and for Reason Magazine and some others. But he's written extensively about how people in, whether it's different third world countries or oppressed countries, have found Bitcoin to be this escape hatch, this like safety valve for, I'm being oppressed this, the other way, and I need to fund this to feed my community and to rally people and connect people. And like, thank God for Bitcoin. It's here and we can use it because the traditional means are getting cut off because there's this central power that says, oh no, we're putting up the wall. So here we have this open thing that anyone can jump into, and it provides this relief because it's there for them. It works. It's there in a pinch. So in terms of, its openness and its accessibility, in that sense, its availability is a very, very important feature. And then I get part of resilience also is the fact that like, mining is this like impenetrable wall of energy that secures everything and makes sure that no one can get in and mess around with it.
Yeah. No, perfectly answered. And then in chapter 8, you oppose Bitcoin to competitors. Like, can we quickly go through them, please?
Yeah, sure. So we can run through a few examples. So that chapter is just like throughout the book, there's this theme of Bitcoin versus fiat, because I kind of compare and contrast in different topics as I go along. And then chapter 8 is just straight up Bitcoin versus, dollars. Okay, we've talked about dollars. We can print them. Bitcoin, you can't print them. Gold, more limited, not absolutely scarce. We don't know exactly how much gold there is. We can bring on 1 or 2% per year. It also has physical limitations, right? In the sense that, if I want to do a deal overseas, well, I got to pay to insure it. I got to pay to secure it and send it. It's very costly. It's slow. Also, it's just not conducive for if I want to go buy a sandwich, I can't scan a QR code and give them real gold. Like, they have to trust the custodian of gold token that the gold's actually there, which is exactly what dollars were, right? Dollars are just meant to be gold tickets. But
basically,
how do we know the gold's there? That's like, there's a layer of trust that Bitcoin just completely obliterates. You don't have to trust anybody. You scan the phone and you've exchanged Bitcoin. Bitcoin settles from one phone to the next, or from terminal, computer, whatever. we can do it right away.
Mhm.
So that's sort of Bitcoin versus gold. I talk about Bitcoin versus crypto. So
Yep.
I've sort of covered that basically by talking about blockchain, because a lot of cryptos are just, and when I mentioned scarcity earlier on, right, about how you can't like reinvent scarcity. So, and these are, in my mind, solutions in search of a problem.
Yeah.
And it's, there's a lot of hype marketing. It's bright lights, it's loud noises. The crowd gets hyped. Right? Like that's what crypto broadly is to me, whereas Bitcoin is like all signal, right? Like crypto broadly is kind of noise, and Bitcoin is just sort of pure signal.
Right.
I talked about forks, how, okay, if you're forking Bitcoin, because my idea for changing the block size or changing, I think 22 million, I think a 1% like, if that idea had merit and was good, it would be incorporated and agreed upon by the network as good and useful and beneficial, but it's not. So it didn't get incorporated. You are trying to create a secondary Bitcoin, but it's not the real deal. It's a cheap knockoff. You're down in New York on Canal Street buying a knockoff Rolex, right? Not the real thing.
I like that example. So then, like, what do you think? Go ahead. You haven't finished.
Yeah, and then I think the last one is I call it Bitcoin versus stable coins. Although today it would be Bitcoin versus central bank digital currencies, because that's it, it's sort of been it's not rebranded. They're different things, but they're basically the same thing. It's a digital representation of the current dollar or fiat system, and it is like everything opposite of Bitcoin. It's just we're going to create a system that is okay. So it's digital. That's the one thing that's the same. It's digital. There's there's gatekeepers. They will control and monitor and say, oh, Jesse, he supports those truckers. We don't like that. We're not going to let him spend his money anymore. Right. They'll just force whatever rules they want down. And it's not freedom money. It's not open, permissionless, totally accessible. So CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, are top-down control, whereas Bitcoin is open, level playing field for all.
Yeah. So then, like, what do you think about NFTs?
I'll tell you. So OpenSea is the biggest NFT platform, right? If I'm not mistaken.
OpenSea, MetaMask,
we can talk about MetaMask too. There's some news today on that.
Right.
I don't know if you want to open this can of worms, but
yeah, I do. I'm pretty sure the listeners do too.
So in early January, OpenSea froze, I think it was $2.2 million worth of stolen crack smoking apes, whatever the hell it was. Not crack smoking, but like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Stolen bored apes. They froze it. So if it was decentralized, how can you freeze it?
Yeah.
There's an admin key. There's a backdoor. They said, oh, those funds don't belong there. We're going to move them back. If you can do that, it's not censorship resistant.
Yeah.
It's not immutable.
Right. Yeah.
So just be aware what you're buying. You're buying hype. Like what it's not money, right? NFTs, non-fungible tokens. The whole point of money, of Bitcoin, is that I can send you one Bitcoin, you can send me one Bitcoin. It doesn't matter which coin I have. One Bitcoin is one Bitcoin.
Yep.
If you have a bored ape and I have a silly monkey, like they're completely different things, and like I can't exchange them one for the other. They're all different. It's like a barter system of JPEGs that are somehow meant to be digital representations of scarcity, but how do I verify that it's actually, like, what if you mint a bored ape on the Ethereum chain, but then someone goes and mints that same one on the Solana chain or this chain? Which one's the original? Like, okay, true. And then you're going to talk about, okay, there's the interoperability. I'll switch it from one blockchain to another. Okay, there's something there, but like, what are you accomplishing with this? I'm not like, I think there is something to NFTs, but I don't think we're anywhere near its final form. I don't think it's what it's meant to be yet, not even close. And so I think it's right now, it's a lot of hype, right? Like a lot of the guys involved with this, pushing the stuff around, promoting it. I mean, these guys have been around they were around in ICOs. They were around, like, the default assumption should be everything is a scam until proven otherwise. Like that should be your default assumption with basically everything in life. Like, be skeptical. So like, that's my take on NFTs. There's
Right.
there's technological faults in terms of the admin stuff. It's not censorship resistant, and then like, what are we really going to use these things for at the end of the day? Are these things real and valuable right now, or are companies and pop culture piling on because they see a lot of stupid money sloshing around and they want to get their cut?
That's what I was gonna ask. Yeah, because we see a lot of entertainers, buying these apes and stuff like that. So
I remember when what Katy Perry had her fingernails with all the crypto coins
yeah,
painted on them. It's like,
yeah.
oh, there you go, that's the top.
Jay-Z has an ape as well, doesn't he? Jay-Z has one too.
Sure, like, okay, he's got money to throw around, but he's not a dummy. Does he really care or know about what a Bored Ape is? No, but some company is coming to him, probably, I'm assuming here,
yeah, probably, yeah,
and saying, hey, Jay-Z, we'll pay you $10 million if you promote this thing. All right, sure. Am I legally liable? No, no one can hold you liable. Sign off on this. Okay, good. Like, great, pay me, I'll say whatever,
right, yeah.
And I'm not saying like Jay-Z's a seller. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that's the nature of that game, right? And so know what you're getting, yourself into, peek under the hood, see how it works. If you don't have an operational framework, an understanding of what you're doing, why it's valuable, who's buying it, why, when, like, then maybe you're getting scammed. Maybe you're there's an expression in poker. I used to play poker. If after the first half an hour at the table you don't know who the sucker is, then you are the sucker. Okay.
How true do you think that is? Very true in poker, right? Yeah.
if after playing a game for half an hour, if you haven't figured out a little bit of an edge, then you don't have an edge.
Yeah, true. Yeah, you will lose.
So
like, yeah, go ahead.
So that's NFTs, and then the other one, MetaMask. Today,
yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Today, someone was saying that in Venezuela right now, MetaMask and Infura are being censored, and they're just inaccessible in Venezuela. How can something that's decentralized be inaccessible and censored?
Yeah, wow, that's insane.
Maybe it's not as decentralized. If it can be censored, then it's not decentralized.
It's not decentralized, yeah.
If it's not decentralized, then what is it?
Yeah.
Because then how is it a solution, and what problem is it solving?
No, absolutely, yeah. No, exactly. Wow, like, yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to research that one a little bit more. Wow.
I tweeted it out today, so it's at like the top of my Twitter feed right now.
Yeah,
my hand.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying my handle is at JAYBERJAY. So whatever today is, March 3rd. It's I tweeted it today.
Right. I'll put your Twitter in the description. Yeah. I mean, guys, go and check it out. I mean, what you told me pretty much threw me off, because I'm just in disbelief.
There's a difference between being decentralized and being decentralized in name, right? I can say that Jesse Berger is decentralized.
Yeah.
Prove it.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. That's the what do you call it? The jingle of today.
That's the motto. Don't trust, verify, right? That's one of the mottos in Bitcoin. Like, don't trust it, verify it.
Verify it, absolutely. And then obviously we're coming down to the last 3 questions now. Do you fear any serious competitor to Bitcoin? So say, for example, like another blockchain.
No, I mean, I think we've covered that, so we'll move on for that one. No.
Yeah. Okay. Great. And then finally, to conclude, tell us a little bit more about the Bitcoin governance and why you think Bitcoin is all about freedom.
Oh yeah. If you think about, I'm going to bring this back a little bit to money. Well, I guess the governance in Bitcoin is undefined. It's kind of chaotic, right?
Right. Yeah.
What it is it's this sort of balancing act between different parties involved, whether it's miners, nodes, developers, Bitcoin owners, exchanges. There's this balancing act, and maybe the power shifts a little bit here and there, but at the end of the day, no one can seem to overcome anyone else. Right?
Yeah.
And again, it's people have tried. Again, you go back to the 2017 block wars, like there was a powerful consortium that like tried to force a change on the network. They couldn't succeed because the power is well balanced between the different interests involved.
Right.
So governance is a little chaotic in that sense, but it's also very functional and it works.
Right.
And it's even. It doesn't discriminate. Anyone can participate. Anyone can opt in. There is no, a transaction worth $1 billion and a transaction worth $10, you're paying the same fee. It doesn't care how big or small you are. It just works for everyone. And that, if you think of money as, you can think of it a little bit as a social construct, but also as like it influences you, right? When you think about money and like, okay, I need money to do this and do that. And how does it work? And how can I spend it? Where can it go? Like your actions, because it's half of every transaction you do, right? Like I send the money, I get the good money is half of that transaction.
Yeah.
It's involved with everything we do. And so it shapes the way we act, and the characteristics and attributes of Bitcoin sort of of money, imbue and instill principles on a society and like influence the functioning of a society, not just economically, but then socially too. So Bitcoin, in terms of promoting freedom and getting away from sort of autocracy and tyranny, whatever, because there is no singular influence, it's this principle that it's this common ground we can all kind of stand on equally, and no one can push anyone off of it.
Right.
And it makes things, more agreeable. There's a way that, we talk about consensus.
Yeah.
We can come to agreement. We can get things done because we can differ in certain regards, but we kind of have to come to an agreement at this level because we can't not,
Right.
like it's impossible not to. And so it just materially, and physically, so I shouldn't say physically, but sort of socially, mentally, it changes how you behave. Again, I think I said earlier on the Max Kaiser quote, you don't change Bitcoin, Bitcoin changes you.
Changes you,
right?
Yeah. I always remember that one now.
it definitely, like when you are using in Bitcoin, thinking about, I don't think about, okay, if I have $10,000, I'm worth $10,000. No, I'm worth 0.1 Bitcoin or 0.5 Bitcoin, whatever. Like thinking about it as 0.5 Bitcoin out of 21 million versus 10,000, like out of what? 10,000 out of this today and that tomorrow. Like I'm always confused enough point, Bitcoin it gives a degree of certainty and clarity that otherwise we don't have. And as a result, we're at each other's throats because we don't know what's happening. We're all confused. And this is a little bit, I'm blending governance, freedom, and just sociology, I guess, all into one here. But it's just an agreeable kind of egalitarian basis, and it reinforces property rights because it is, money is the sort of the purest property right, and it's stateless in the sense that no nation state or like there's no physical state, right? It's stateless. Right. Or it's inalienable. No one can take it away from me without my permissions. So long as I take a little responsibility to make sure I protect my private key, my security. No one can take it away from me. It has these characteristics that make it so useful, so like this guiding principle that it reinforces equally for everyone. And that's a very powerful figure, and that I think is a much better way to organize a society around than the garbage we have right now.
No, I agree. So I mean, that was that. That was a very in-depth conversation. I learned a lot, and I'm pretty sure our listeners have learned a lot too. So one question I would ask now is there anything that you want to leave the people with in regards to like a quote, in regards to, I don't know, like words of wisdom, and then where can they find you and where could they find your book and how much is your book?
Yeah, sure. So I guess, when it comes to Bitcoin, if you've never tried it, like get your hands a little dirty, try,
Bitcoin point.
Right. Like the lesson I'll say is experience is the best teacher. If you've never actually like broadcast a transaction to the network and then waited when the transaction, like you bought Bitcoin on an exchange, let's say, and you hit send and the coins disappear from the exchange and you're looking at your wallet and you're like, wait, where are my coins? The network is processing, right? It's doing its thing. And then 10 minutes later, roughly, right? Depends on when you hit send, but then the coins appear and like, whoa. And like, no one was involved in the background, right? There's no Visa, there's no payment processor, it's just this network that nobody controls, and it fulfills the orders because it's just code. It executes the code seamlessly, accurately, securely every single time.
Every single time.
And so try that, send it to a wallet, set up a wallet, and then
just don't get the code wrong.
Yeah. Well, and if you've never done it, the first use $5 worth, $10 worth, use a little amount that you're willing to lose. Like, just go through the motions, experience it. That will teach you more than, anything I can, tell you. Actually getting your hands dirty and doing it. So that's sort of, I guess, the final lesson I'll leave you with. In addition to, like, we talked about don't trust, verify, like, have a framework for understanding, like, what, if you're exploring the other areas of crypto and whatnot, like, understand what it is you're getting into. If you think you're getting into something cool and interesting, like, that's great. There's innovation, is like, there's room for creativity in this space, but like, know the difference between speculating on something that is trying to be something good and useful and whatever versus something that is working and useful, and that isn't just this veneer of marketing and hype, right? Because a lot of people get caught up in the hype, and the way I talk specifically about Bitcoin, because I don't want people to fall victim. If you have a ton of money and you can afford to gamble away, by all means, it's your choice. You can afford to do it, but there's a lot of people who don't, who are trying to get rich quick, and what they end up doing is they end up shooting themselves in the foot, and they lose what little they have. That's not what I want to see happen. I want people to have a longer term vision of a slowly accumulating growth, not thinking that everything is get rich quick, whatever's right in front of my face. I want you to not go poor slowly.
Exactly. Essentially, that's what you're saying. So then, last but not least, obviously your book's on Amazon, right?
So you can buy the paperback on Amazon. I'll just hold up the cover here for everyone to see. So it's Magic Internet Money, a book about Bitcoin. My name, Jesse Berger. I sell it, I believe it's for $18.99 in the US. I forget what the list price is in the UK. But it'll be
a lot less,
comparable.
Probably.
Comparable, whatever the
And then last but not least, is it on Kindle as well? Is it on Kindle?
It is, It's on. If you go, I have a really poorly run website. Magic Bitcoin. I'm not a tech guy, right? I'm an idiot banker. Or former idiot banker, and still idiot, but just not banker anymore. magicbitcoinbook.com. There's the link to the different ebook sites, and it's on, I think, just about all of them.
Right. Okay, great. I'll leave a link in the description for that. And then, where can they find you?
So like I said, Twitter at JAYBERJAY is sort of where I'm, vocal, I guess I would say. You can email me, magicbitcoinbook@gmail.com. If you want to add me on LinkedIn, I'm on LinkedIn under my name. And the website magicbitcoinbook.com it's just a quick description of my book, and it links you to the Amazon pages and whatnot, so you can go there too. And and that's me.
Perfect. Thanks for joining us. And guys, that was another episode from Bitcoin Point. Please be sure to click the link in the description, download the app and use the code podcast1 to receive £5 in free Bitcoin. Jesse, thank you, and I'll talk soon.
Sounds good. Take good care.